that song, I never thought I'd hear it sung so beautifully as The Grains of Time. Would you like to sing it? You mind singing it with us? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please, please won't you be my neighbor? Thank you for that. I wrote out pretty much what I'm going to say today, otherwise I'd probably be here reminiscing with you for too long. And so I've made this under 15 minutes, I hope. But before I begin, I'd like to thank Dr. Spandler and Chancellor Monteith for their generous welcome, and also to tell the people who tried to get in touch with me late last night at the hotel on the telephone that I'm sorry I couldn't take their calls, but I'd like to give you our address in case you'd like to write. And I had known that song for many years. It began by saying, when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are, anything your heart desires will come to you. And all of a sudden, it dawned on me how important it was that all my wishes had not come true. At one point, I had wished to become a concert pianist, then later a veterinarian, and after that...
That's a veterinary school.
My next life, I hope. And after that, an airline pilot. In fact, I probably wished more for those things than I ever wished to be in television. And I got to thinking, what makes the difference between wishing and actually realizing our wishes? Lots of things, of course, but the main one, I believe, is whether we link our wishes to our active striving. It might take years for a wish to come true, but it's far more likely to happen when we care so much about it that we'll do all we can to make it happen. At some point in your life, you must have wished to be college graduates. Well, by now you know what it takes to make that wish come true, and so do your parents and your teachers and your friends. When I was a freshman in college, I was introduced to a very famous songwriter. Ever since I was a little boy, I had wanted to meet that man. I was convinced that if I could just get him to hear my songs, I think I had 5 of them then, he would be so impressed with me that he would take me to Broadway and I would be an instant successful composer of show tunes. Well, he did give me an interview, and I remember so well thinking, I'll probably have to give up college and get an apartment in New York, and before long my 5 songs will be sung by millions of people. Of course, that's not what happened. The famous composer was very welcoming to me. He asked me to play a couple of my songs for him, and he listened intently. When I was finished, he said, "Very nice, Fred. Now, how many songs have you written?" I told him 5, and I had brought them all. Then he said something that has become very important to me. He said, "I'd like you to come back after you've written a barrel full, and we'll talk again." Can you imagine how I felt? a barrel full of songs. That would mean hundreds of songs. And at that moment, I had only 5. I can still remember the disappointment I felt as I left that interview. Nevertheless, that man's counsel was more inspired than I realized. It took me years to understand that. But of course, what he knew was that if I really wanted to be a songwriter, I'd have to write songs, not just think about the 5 I had written. And so, after the initial disappointment, I got to work. And through the years, one by one, I have written a barrel full of songs. People who have grown up with our neighborhood programs have heard a lot of them. In fact, that barrel is overflowing now. And I can tell you those songs did not write themselves. I wrote them. And the more I wrote, the better the songs became. I wished to be a songwriter, and I attached my work to my wish, and that wish came true. But what about the wishes that don't come true, no matter how hard we try? I know a woman who remembers the time when she realized that her wish to be married and have children would not come true. She remembers the struggle of the final resignation. And then she remembers the outcome of that resignation. All of a sudden, enormous energies were available to her, which she used for the rest of her life in developing uniquely creative work with young parents. Every healthy person has known resignations quite early on in life. Once we learn to walk, we must resign ourselves to not being a baby anymore. Of course, if we just want to be taken care of and not make any effort to do things for ourselves, then we avoid that resignation and just stay a baby. You may know some adults who are like that. Even though they're mentally and physically able people, they still want to be served all the time. How sad for them not to experience the excitement of growing from one part of life to another. I know a young man whose name is Keith. When he was 10 years old, his beloved grandfather became ill. This grandfather had always helped Keith to feel special. They had fished together and camped together and talked about all kinds of things together. And when his grandfather became sick, Keith wanted him to get better. He watched the doctors and helped his grandfather take his pills. In fact, his grandfather told him that he was good at that. He told him he was very good at a lot of things. That's why when the grandfather died 2 years later, Keith was sad and angry all at once. Nevertheless, his grandfather had been comfortable enough with him so that they had been able to talk about death and how that happens to all living creatures, and that the important thing is how we care for people while they're alive. So from the time Keith was 12 years old, he was sure he wanted to become a doctor. He was first in all of his science courses in high school and was accepted at a college that had a fine pre-med course. To those who knew him well, it was fairly evident that Keith was responding to the loss of his grandfather, but also to the love which helped him mobilize all of his feelings towards constructive resolution. Next year, Keith will become a doctor. He says he wants to be a family doctor. My hunch is that he will be a fine one. His wish was translated into purposeful work with the memory of affection grounded in hope. On the bulletin board of a great cathedral in Paris, someone wrote the following words: Le monde demain appartiendra à ceux qui lui ont apporté la plus grande espérance. The world tomorrow will belong to those who brought it the greatest hope. I don't know your wishes or your hopes. Nobody but you and the people you care to share them with should know them. Wishes are sometimes grand and far beyond the reality of the present. But other wishes are intimate. They are about simple things, simple private things. I trust that you'll feel good enough about yourself to do all you can to help the best of your wishes come true. And by now you've discovered that you don't have to do it alone. In fact, no one gets to be a college graduate or any other competent adult without the investment of others in our lives. I often think about all the people who have helped me to become who I am, people who have loved me all along the way. In fact, on this extra special day, I'd like to give you a minute to think of those who have believed in you and have helped you to feel that you could realize some of your wishes and your hopes. Those who have helped you live your life knowing what was good and real. A minute of silence for all of us to remember those who have cared about us throughout our lives. People who have made a significant difference in our being who we are right now. 1 minute. I'll watch the time. And the fancy outsides of life, which ultimately nourish our souls, it's the knowing that we can be trusted, that we never have to fear the truth, that the bedrock of our very being is good stuff. When you wish upon a star, why, there are whole galaxies that we haven't even discovered yet. Stars way out in space and stars within ourselves that are patiently waiting to be hitched to the work of our lives to brighten up our world. I trust you'll choose your wishes well, the ones you help make come true. I wanted to be with you today because I know that many of you grew up with the neighborhood, some as children, some as parents, and I'm very proud of the way you've grown. Some of you have had ordinary, some extraordinary struggles in your years of growing to this special day. And I'd like to give you the words to another song for a commencement present. It's from my barrel full of songs, and it's called It's You I Like. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair, but it's you I like. The way you are right now, the way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you, not your diplomas, they're just beside you. But it's you I like. Every part of you, your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new. I hope that you'll remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like. It's you yourself. It's you. It's you I like. Congratulations to you all.
Great.